sheeple, lazy and evil. For years I've watched y'all allow Donald Trump turn you to crazy people. Where's that freedom eagle when you...
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your boy MagMongoSlade, and this is my AEW Full Gear review part 2. This is take 2 on my review. This review will not have my review of Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega. That will be its own video, because that ended up being almost 30 minutes. And I can't do 20 minutes on the rest of the show, because there's just so much to discuss and so much to talk about and so much to complain about. Ultimately, what do I think of this show? I think it was entirely too long. I worked 12 hours. Then I came home. I made some nachos. And when I watched this show, I ate my nachos. I was sleepy by 10 o'clock. I stayed up. I pushed through to 12. But some of it, like, we could have made this a solid 3-hour show, and we would have been gravy. You know, and then 3 hours would have been pushing it. You know, but there's still a lot of noteworthy stuff to discuss on this show. So, match 1, MJF versus Darby Allin. So, Darby Allin has another video entrance where he remakes the death of his uncle and sets the car on fire. And I was like, why would you? I get that, you know, you kind of want to show that doesn't bother you, so you want to reenact it and say, oh, I'll do it again. But seemed very strange to me, dog. Seemed very strange to me. This match was awesome. I will say that. I hate the finish. We'll get to the finish, which I hated the finish. Jesus. But the match itself was great. It told a fantastic story. They started the match with MJF and Darby Allin being essentially equals in terms of wrestling technique. Hold, counter hold, knowing what each other will do, being able to respond to, you know, arm drags or drop downs and all that kind of stuff. And it, you know, pissed in MJF's face because he thought that he could out wrestle Darby Allin, and that was his whole gimmick. You know, that Darby Allin was mentally flustered, but he wasn't. He was focused. He was on top of it. He was just as good as MJF. Now, of course, in some traditional pro wrestling, you would say that the babyface should be better. But I think that having them be equals was just as good. Mainly because MJF wasn't going to expect it. You know, not sure he wouldn't have expected Darby Allin to be better, but I don't think you want to completely take MJF away from that situation. I think having him be equals was frustrating for MJF. As far as if he was being out wrestled, he would have to bail. You know, you slide out of the ring, get away. But with them being equals, he had this constant desire to, I want to take it to the next level, but he's going to keep up with me. So I got to change my strategy. And I like that the characters, their characterizations actually played into how the match went. For instance, Darby was able to take advantage of MJF doing things like yelling at the crowd. There's this one great spot where MJF is yelling at a fan. And as MJF turns around to yell at this fan, Darby hits the ropes. And by the time MJF turns back around from mocking that fan, because he mocks fans all the time, this missile is coming towards him. This human missile called, you know, Darby Allin. Bang! Knocks him right on his ass. Pay attention. Right? Focus on the match. Likewise, Darby Allin is reckless. He likes to do stupid spots. So MJF takes advantage of Darby doing something stupid, trying to do a casket drop from the top rope onto the ring apron. MJF moves. Bang! He hits the ring apron. Smarten up. That's good character stuff. You know, and it actually gives you opportunity to see how these guys are taking advantage of each other. But I do hate the finish. The finish was stupid. You had MJF roll a skateboard to Darby Allin. Why? I don't know. Dare Darby Allin to hit him with the skateboard. I feel like we just saw this with Malachi Black when he was demanding that guys hit him with chairs and stuff. This really doesn't make much sense, considering we hadn't really saw that Darby Allin was frustrated with MJF or that he was losing his temper. He was fired up, sure, but he's almost always fired up. He's very intense. He wasn't, I would think, Roddy Piper throwing hands and the referee had to pull him off. It wasn't like, Darby Allin had his faint thumbs in MJF's eyes or something like that, and then he had to pull him off. So MJF was like, I got him. I finally got him. I'm going to take advantage of it. It just kind of didn't feel that way. And then they did a Dynamite Diamond Ring. And then he pinned him with a headlock takeover, which of course makes MJF sound very smart because he called his shot like Muhammad Ali. But at the same time, I was kind of like, this is dumb. This is just dumb. It was a contrived finish, and it was very unnecessary. I think that the finish just about ruined what was a really good match. I thought the boys really killed it, knocked it out of the park. As good as opener as you can possibly have. But they need to work on their finishes. You could have had MJF cheat, and MJF cheating is the right decision. But by God, bro, do something else. No more skateboards. And the Dynamite Diamond Ring gimmick, I get it. It's, it's a recurring thing. But we got to be able to do better than that. We got to do better than that. AEW Tag Team Championships, FTR versus the Lucha Brothers. There's another one that was marred with bad finish. This match showed me that referee, he exists to be nothing short of ineffectual. He is the worst referee I have ever seen in professional wrestling. I don't know what his name is. All I can tell you is that he's absolutely dreadful as a referee. So the Lucha Brothers win the match. Interesting Dudley-style entrance for the Lucha Brothers that included the whistle and the bombs and everything. There was some military soldiers there. I didn't really catch what that meant. FTR, of course, is still rocking the 1980s theme song. I get it. It fits the characters, but it also makes them sound silly. It just sounds silly. Phoenix and the ropes are a match made in heaven. He has all the rope tricks. Him running on the ropes until that leg drop was tremendous. It was absolutely tremendous. He is a plus 150 on agility. This was like Madden or something. His agility will be maxed out. Speed 2. Technique, probably a little lower. But agility and speed, very, very high. A lot of guys did Three Amigos on this show, obviously because it was the death anniversary of Eddie Guerrero. So there's a lot of guys botching the Three Amigos. I did not see anybody doing right. Saw a lot of guys try it. A lot of guys botching. But not many was actually doing it right. There was so many blown spots by the referee. The referee just watching people cheat. It was awful. The finish was, of course, garbage. You had the lucha mask on the wrong guy. The wrong guy gets pinned. It was flat as hell because I think people was expecting a dusty finish where it was going to be reversed and the match was going to continue, but it didn't. Instead, they was just kind of like zero miedo. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess they won. All right, but they planted the seed for a rematch because Lucha Brothers didn't beat the right guy, so it's going to set up a rematch. Very old school finish, in so much that the wrong guy gets beat to try to invalidate the match. There's been a lot of that stuff in history. You pin the wrong guy. It's like the referee. It's the referee's job to make sure it's the right guy, but the referee is completely and totally incompetent. He's incompetent as shit. Third match, Miro versus Bryan Danielson. Another match where they botched the finish. This match was very slow in comparison to the first two. MJF and Darby Allin was working at a very good pace. Very fast, especially at the beginning. And the Lucha Brothers can't do anything but work fast. So Danielson and Miro were basically like wrestling in grits at this point because they were really having a heavyweight title match in this ring. And it was pretty good. I don't think it met expectations, but I think they wanted to have a different kind of match. They wanted to have a physical encounter and not necessarily, guys running around at a mile a minute doing everything under the sun to one another. Danielson wins. Tornado DDT into a guillotine choke. There's no way he passed out in the guillotine choke that fast, and the referee called for the bell. It's just not reasonable that a man the size of Miro would get choked out that fast. Miro did a great job of selling. He did a great job selling the loss. He also did a great job in the match of pulling the Ultimate Warrior, which is looking up to the heavens. Why, God? Why have you forsaken me? Where is my power? Where is my power? Okay, cool. I really think we should have put somebody else in this spot and not Miro, but whatever. Danielson wins. He's out there doing his work, which is Bryan Danielson is Kane from Kung Fu, Ryu from Street Fighter. He's just wandering the world looking for the best matches. He is the it man of professional wrestling. All he does is his martial art. He just wants to practice his martial art. You know, do you know any other styles, Miro? No, he doesn't know any other styles. I'm guessing this is going to be their opportunity to introduce Lana or CJ Perry. I guess we should stop calling her Lana. Maybe they're going to introduce her next. I mean, you kind of have to at this point, right? Fourth match, the Super Click versus the Jurassic Express, plus Christian Cage in a Falls Count Anywhere 6-man tag. This match is of course a cluster, absolute cluster, with guys running around everywhere, doing everything in the world. The story of the match was to try to make Jungle Boy incite his killer instinct, to make Jungle Boy a killer, to make Jungle Boy vicious, to make Jungle Boy Jungle Man, even though he's almost 30. Well, he's probably not that close to 30. He's probably like 27 or something like that. It was Christian that was, being the guy trying to show him the killer instinct. He gave him the chair early in the match. Hey, do this concerto to Adam Cole, and Jungle Boy was hesitant because, that's kind of violent. I don't want to, But as they fought, everybody seems to really kind of kick it up a little bit. He had Luchasaurus blowing spots all over the place. I mean, come on. He seems like the kind of guy who goes to rehearsal and rehearses these spots. How can he consistently blow them so much? He gets people behind him, and then he'll blow a spot, and they'll be like, oh. Like, just go out there and work. Don't worry about it being absolutely perfect or you doing a little flip or flail or whatever before it happens. Just go out there and do your little thigh slapping kicks. And if somebody throw a kick at you, duck it. Do a cartwheel, whatever you want. But he just has this thing where if something is not absolutely perfect, he stutters. He pauses. And then people are like, oh, where are you going? What is he doing? Oh, somebody must have blown the spot. It's like, come on. This is the best thing I've ever heard. People won't know you fucked up unless you tell them or unless you show them. Luchasaurus always shows that somebody is fucking up. It's never fails. never fails. He did a shooting star press off the stage onto Cutler, one of the Jacksons, and Adam Cole. No reason for him to do that. He did it. Christian jumping off the balcony was cool though. That was for his age. That ruled. For somebody his age and he didn't have to do it. That was pretty rad. But somebody the size of Luchasaurus, it made no sense. This is where I started to say that the show was too long because this match was entirely too long. The end comes with Jungle Boy finally using his concerto on one of the Jacksons. I believe it was Nick Jackson or Matt Jackson, one of them. I think it was Nick. And he takes the pin. And everybody's so excited because Jungle Boy finally, smashed a heel in the head with a chair, So he's getting there. He's showing that fire. He's showing that killer instinct. And it's like, you know what? That would be great if the concerto hadn't already been shit on just a couple of weeks ago. In fact, wasn't it just 2 weeks ago where Adam Cole took a concerto to the head and was back wrestling the next day? The day after? It wasn't like, if you wanted to really kind of put that story over, the concerto would have to be something that, Jungle Boy maybe was against because it was so violent and because it did such damage to somebody. Maybe Christian, maybe 2 months ago, did the concerto to Cutler or something. And Cutler hadn't been seen since. And it's like, man, it's so violent, it could put you in the hospital for a long time, like a fractured skull. And then Jungle Boy's like, look, I'm a sports guy. I don't want to fracture people's skulls. And Christian like, look, you got to do what you got to do, man. Like these guys are playing for keeps. You got to do what you got to do. And then maybe Jungle Boy was like, I don't know about this. Because then you could do that in heroic fashion where you're like, hey, look, I want to stop the bad guys from doing what they do. But I don't want to maim guys. I don't want to, give a guy a brain tumor. Like what good am I doing if I, give a guy a brain tumor in order to stop him from doing something bad? I'm not much better than he is. The Batman logic. Of course, it's not true, but, it's Batman logic. If Batman is as bad as the guys he beats up because he breaks bones and shit, right? He doesn't kill them. He just breaks their arms and stuff. Which will heal. It'll heal. It may not heal properly, but it'll heal. Not like you'll be dead, which is what Batman villains do. They kill people. So if you'd have had the super clique going out there injuring guys and actively hurting folks, and then Jungle Boy not really wanting to step into that level of violence, this story would have made a lot more sense. Rather than, he just didn't want to do the concerto, then he did it. And now we're all happy that he finally popped his cherry in doing the concerto. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. Does this give him a character and a personality now? No? Oh, well. Doesn't do me any favors. It was very, very, very strange match. It was way too long. Pac and Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo. And this match was also too long. I legit was nodding off in this match. Because this match had no reason to exist. You could have taken this match off this card, put it on Dynamite, and I'd have been just fine. It'd have had the same impact because nothing happened in this match. They keep telling this story of somebody's going to stab Cody in the back. I thought that this show was going to be the time where we see somebody stab Cody in the back. Didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. That sucks. So what do we have this match for? Because Cody needed to get on the show? Because you invested money in Malachi Black and Andrade and Pac and they have to get on the show? You maybe should have thought about that Booker of the Year when you was booking them to wrestle on Dynamite and Rampage and shit for free. That you had the pay-per-view that you wanted people to pay for. Malachi Black's first pay-per-view match is a nothing throwaway tag team match that he lost. By the way. Nonsense. Arn Anderson was beating up Jose, who was Andrade El Idolo's guy, his manager or whatever. Andrade tried to flip over the ropes and got caught. I don't know how that happened. It's like his agility is minus 75 now. It ain't quite what it used to be. But of course, he got it back together eventually. Pac wins the match with the Black Arrow, which is an interesting thing. Very interesting thing. But it seemed like they were dabbling into the can they coexist because it was guys back tagging, tagging themselves in, and it was foolish. They was getting angry at each other for tagging each other in. So it was very weird to me. Taynara Conti versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's title. And I was like, man, I want to go to bed, bro. I do not want to watch Taynara Conti versus Britt Baker. I forced myself to watch this match. And it was literally nothing. It was another match where they keep talking about how great Taynara Conti is, or Tay Conti, or whatever her name is. But they didn't put any effort into making her look good. Her stuff was good in this match. Her judo throws, her arm drags, her technique was good. She didn't have a bad match. But nobody cared. She hadn't been on TV in months. She hadn't cut a pay-per-view. She hadn't cut a promo. She doesn't have a character. She doesn't have a personality other than being a pretty Brazilian girl with a judo background. And she's Anna Jay's friend. That's it. That's not a character. That's not even a person. That's not a personality. You know, it's when you have Britt Baker in the ring, she's got character. She's got personality. There's elements of her that are real. There's elements of her that are completely fiction. That's what makes her interesting. With Tainara Conti, it's all about her real background, where she's really from Brazil. She really has a judo background. There's no fictional elements to her. No fantastical fictional elements that we can... Maybe her name is not real. Maybe her name isn't Tai Conti. You know, but there's not enough story there. Not enough meat on the bone for anybody to really give a shit about a match with Britt Baker. And then we knew she wasn't going to win. Again, you could have had this match on Dynamite. And I wouldn't have... But then again, you wouldn't have had a woman on the show. Because there's only one women's match on the show. Britt Baker had an electric guitarist, some Fozzy guy, do her entrance. And I was like, well, that's not Nita Strauss. But I do like the finish to this. The finish to this match ruled. Because it was a good wrestling match. And ended with a good wrestling counter. So they left the door open for Tai Conti to get a rematch. But of course, they don't do rematches in AEW. So once she eats that loss... it's she has to go to the back of the line or she falls in the rankings. So you would think theoretically that the way Tai Conti lost with Britt Baker countering her counter, when she tried to counter her with the lockjaw, and she tried to counter the lockjaw and ended up getting countered and rolled up and pinned, that it would be considered almost a fluke and Britt Baker would have to give her another match. But nope, not at all. Didn't happen. It's not going to happen. So Britt Baker was in no danger. You know, she was safe as a newborn in her daddy's arms. Who wasn't safe though? Our boy CM Punk. He was not safe at all from Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston and CM Punk was the best match on the show, and it was like 10 minutes of just guys throwing hands. Good shit. Great shit. CM Punk gets sucker punched right before the bell. He gets knocked flat on his ass. And I loved it because they kind of sold that he wasn't going to be able to continue. Punk is dazed, and then he flipped off Eddie Kingston as he was dazed. And I was like, oh, it's going to be that kind of party. And it was that kind of party. Punk was also wearing boxing shorts, which is very interesting. Very interesting choice of gear. Of course, Punk ended up blading. He was bleeding. Kingston wiped his blood on his own face. The crowd turned on CM Punk. It was vociferously pro Eddie Kingston. You know, Eddie Kingston this is a Minneapolis crowd. It's a blue collar city. You know, Chicago is too, but CM Punk is seen as the guy who had his chance. And I can respect that. You know, CM Punk is the guy who made it to Stanford and made it to WrestleMania and made all this money. Eddie Kingston is, even though they come from similar backgrounds or whatever, Eddie Kingston seems like is the hero, the guy who hadn't made it yet. You know, the guy who's on the road to making it, but who has not made it yet. And CM Punk is a guy who made it and then just found out that it wasn't for him. So it was a completely different scenario. So the crowd was really, really for Kingston. And when Punk teased the 5-knuckle shuffle, and everybody booed him out of the building. And he even seemed to enjoy that. Like, wow, you know, me just pretending to be John Cena gives me heat. You know, if only you could sell merchandise like John Cena and T-shirts and shit. You know, we might be in a different industry. You might be in a different business. That's a different tax bracket too, buddy. In any event, I saw what they were trying to do. And they're trying to do, you know, CM Punk now represents corporate wrestling, and Eddie Kingston represents the hardcore indie style. They've been yelling about this whole thing about Eddie Kingston and CM Punk being the modern CM Punk and John Cena. It's not really the same thing, though, because John Cena was a franchise. I'm talking super franchise when CM Punk showed up. He was already 6 years into his run. You know, Cena had been the man since 2005. And, Punk wasn't even on his radar until like 2011 or 2012. So it's not quite the same. But I see where they were going from here. But you also have to realize that Eddie Kingston lost. It was a hell of a fight where these guys just chopped each other, threw hands, kicked each other in the face. It was great shit. Really, really easily rewatchable too. Kingston played to his strengths, which is a short, violent match. That, again, he didn't try to go in there and outwork CM Punk. He said he wanted to fight CM Punk. That's what he did. He went in there and started a fight and won that fight. He ended up losing the match, but he won the fight. So Punk hits 2 GTS in order to win. He offered Eddie Kingston his hand. Kingston, of course, refused. He got light boos on that. So Kingston and Punk, very good. I'm not surprised Eddie Kingston lost. I know a lot of people think Eddie Kingston should have won in order to back up all the tough talk that he's done. But Eddie Kingston, like I said, his character was... I am surprised, and this shows you how resilient the character of Eddie Kingston is. Of all the tough talk and the tough bluster, I said, I think it was either earlier this year or last year, probably last year, that Eddie Kingston's character could not survive the I Quit match with Jon Moxley. You can't have a tough talking New York guy like Eddie Kingston quit a fight. But they did. And he did survive it. And he's in a better position now. Well, just in, maybe even in a lateral position now. He's not wrestling for the title anymore, but he's wrestling, top guys. So maybe him quitting didn't hurt him as badly as I thought it would. So if that was the case, him literally saying I quit in a submission hold didn't hurt his credibility as a tough guy from the streets or whatever. I don't think getting pinned by CM Punk is going to hurt him. So Eddie Kingston might be one of those guys who's Teflon at this point. So the Inner Circle defeat American Top Team in Men of the Year. This was awful. This was absolutely awful. We did not need this. Jericho wins with the Frog Splash on Lambert, a tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Andre Arlovsky and Junior Dos Santos actually looked okay. Arlovsky, obviously, little green. Both of those guys are a little green. Junior Dos Santos did a stand-in moonsault, which is very interesting. Very interesting. These guys, somebody brought out the peace symbol, the Prince symbol. There was a toaster, a football, a bundt cake pan, all kinds of stuff. Then they did a weird spot where Ethan Page was making fun of Jake Hager's wife. This led Baron Von Raschke to make the save as if anybody in the fucking crowd know who Baron Von Raschke is. Look, I'm glad that the old man got a pop and that, some people knew who he was, clearly. Commentary is screaming about him. But Baron Von Raschke is, he's like 80-something. He was washed before Hogan really had a run. So if you were a proper Hulkamaniac or something like that, you couldn't have possibly remembered Baron Von Raschke. But it was still cool for him to be there and to be involved. I'm pretty sure it was fun. Baron Von Raschke, for those who don't know, was a big star in the AWA, which is why he was in the Minneapolis area. He was also, one of the members of people who used the claw as a finish, along with the Von Erichs. Very, very popular in AWA. A mainstay there. So, I'm not surprised that they did well. They used him. But the Jericho Lambert stuff was pathetic. It was awful. Jericho chopped Lambert like 2 or 3 times. Hit him with a kendo stick a couple of times. Hit Junior Dos Santos with a kendo stick a couple of times. Nothing major on either side. Sammy Guevara jumped off of everything because that's what he's in the match to do. Scorpio Sky basically was ineffective as far as I'm concerned. I didn't pay attention to anything he did. I'm not going to hold you up. I didn't pay attention to anything Scorpio Sky did in this match. To me, this show was a little too long at this point. I was getting weary. But by the time I was getting weary, I was I was hoping AEW was going to be able to keep me good for a while, but they decided the show needed to be 4 hours, and I was like, you know what, bruh? I don't know if I got that to spare. Clearly, I did have it to spare, because not only did I watch the entire show, but now I'm taking like 2 extra hours to do a review, and I got to be up at 7. So let's get through this a little bit faster. Tomohiro Ishii will be on Dynamite. I don't think anybody gives a shit. I know there's a people out there who likes the Stone Pitbull, but who really gives a flying fliggity fuck about the Stone Pitbull? Tomohiro Ishii is boring. He's boring. I know he has good matches. He has the same, I'm going to run my elbow into your chin, you run your elbow into my chin, back and forth for 15-minute fucking match every time I look at him. No, he's boring. 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 Jay Lethal is now All Elite, which is very cool. That's an interesting wrinkle. They gave him a remix of the Macho Man theme, though, and I was absolutely disgusted with that. It's like, do you think that people only know Jay Lethal from being Black Machismo? Because I swear to God, he did other things. I swear to you, he had other gimmicks and other characters and other storylines than Black Machismo in TNA. Come on. Don't do him like this and give him this goddamn Macho Man Randy Savage remix theme. Change that shit immediately. Immediately. But Jay Lethal is apparently now signed to AEW. So apparently to get an AEW contract, you have to A, be released from WWE within the last 5 years, or B, be a big shot from Ring of Honor 10 years ago. Then you're a shoo-in to get a job in AEW. But it's still not a bad deal. Jay Lethal is a good talent. He's excellent, actually. Very professional, a good guy for the company and the company's morale. There's going to be some issues. I think he had some speaking out allegations, and he also got accused of sexual harassment by Kelly Klein. I'm pretty sure the SJW fans that they cultivated over at AEW is going to have a hard time with that. But so be it. So be it. I don't care. I like Jay Lethal. And I want to see Jay Lethal wrestle Bryan Danielson. And I want to see Jay Lethal wrestle CM Punk. But it seems that we're just getting older and older in AEW. They're saying, fuck these young guys. We're just going to keep signing people who've been around for a long time already. You know? We're just going to... Jay Lethal's like 38, 37 or something like that. He's not no spring chicken. But he's still a great talent. And he's going to wrestle Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. I personally will put the TNT belt on Jay Lethal. I mean, what the fuck do we need Sammy Guevara to have it for? But we need to build our young guys. Well, find a young guy worth building. Sammy Guevara is the shits. He can't talk. He has no look. He has no charisma. He has no personality. What the fuck are we keeping this guy around for? You know? I mean, there's plenty of guys out there. I mean, because he's Hispanic and doesn't have any of those qualities. He's a vlog weirdo. What the fuck are we keeping that guy around for? I would not want vloggers on my roster. I can tell you that right now. I do a vlog, man. Oh, fuck you. Get out of here. You wrestling with the Walmart guys? No, man. Fuck you. Get out of here. No, you don't take the business serious. You're a joke. There's plenty of young guys out there to take the business seriously. I don't see why we waste time on Sammy Guevara. In any event, Jay Lethal is a good get. I fully expect him to throw the Brinks truck at the Briscoes too. And I'm sitting back patiently waiting for Tony Khan to get the Briscoes so we can watch Briscoes versus FTR. And I might actually be very happy with AEW at that point. But I think the wrestling gods shine upon us with the Briscoes and the FTR. And I think if we leave them alone and let them book their own angle, it'd be probably one of the best tag team feuds ever. Period. I mean that. You know, because those boys are very creative and their matches are going to be, and they're both two old school teams inspired by the greats, you know, the Terry Funks and the Rock and Roll Express and all of those guys, Midnight Express. It's all perfect. Just got to give them the space to do it. If they bringing in Jay Lethal, then the Briscoes probably ain't too far behind. So my dreams of Jay Lethal going to Impact have been crushed, but it's all right. It'll do. All right, so that's it for the show. Again, the Hangman Page Kenny Omega review is on a different video. But let me know what you guys thought about this show. And like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for your time. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. We just gone.